Hey friends, welcome back to Call Me After Coffee. Today I wanted to do a video kind of Memorial Day inspired or Remembrance Day inspired, and so today I'm going to share with you some of my favorite World War II historical fiction and then a couple that have been like on my radar that I want to read sometime soon. I was gonna post a different video today and then I thought, I don't know, it's not, I think because Remembrance Day falls on an upload day, I just felt weird posting like a really peppy video of something else on Remembrance Day. I don't know. So today I thought this would be kind of fitting, especially because historical fiction is like my all-time favorite genre. I can't get enough of it. I absolutely love historical fiction. So I'm gonna just get right into the recommendations. And the first ones that I have here are a trilogy that you can really sink your teeth into. I have yet to read the third book, Edge of Eternity, which doesn't really matter for this video, but I just felt weird not holding all three up. So the first one is Fall of Giants, and we follow World War I and a cast of characters, and then we kind of follow the next generation in Winter of the World, which is the World War II basis. And then this, I believe, is the Cold War. I think this comes up to like the 60s, 70s, but I'm not entirely sure because I haven't read this one yet. But I absolutely love Ken Follett's writing. I would love to read his other trilogy, Kingsbridge trilogy, I think is what it's called. But Ken Follett is just such a great writer. I can blow through these books fairly fast considering how dense they are, how tiny the font is. Like, they're just so good. His characters are so well written. The stories are so great. And as far as I know, and from what I've like looked up and double checked, like, he has really researched these books. He is trying to be as true to historical events as possible, and I just find his writing and his characters to just be fantastic. Next on the pile, I only have The Dust Jacket because I lent this one to my sister, but Salt to the Sea by Rita Sepetys. I also read Fountains of Silence, but that was more the Spanish War. Both historical fiction, both really great. This one is definitely one of my favorite books that I've read this year. I read it in January, and it was a great experience. I absolutely loved it. I love when people tell stories that I didn't know before. It's not like this is an unheard of story, but it was about the Wilhelm Gustloff, like the ship that got sunk. And I just thought that this story was a really interesting perspective because you got, instead of being like Britain and like the Allies versus Germany, you get aside from like Poland and Russia and things like that in this book. And I just found this story really incredible, really heartbreaking. I was sobbing at the end, but it was written in a very interesting way. And I think at first it was a little bit jarring, but the way that she did it was perfect. And I just absolutely loved this book, and I want to read all of her books. Next in the pile, we have The Book Thief by Marquez Zusak. Marquez Zusak is one of my favorite authors. I feel like, to me, he is really like going through genres, and I'm just very curious to see what he'll come out with next if he comes out with something else. The Book Thief is a World War II historical fiction about a German family who is hiding a Jewish man in their basement. It's narrated by Death. It's got a very peculiar perspective, an interesting narrative. I loved this story so much, sobbed throughout. Also, would be down for a reread of this one at some point. I just absolutely loved this story, and once I got into it, like, I was just gripped until the very end. One of my all-time favorite World War II historical fictions is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I have talked about this book a lot, so I haven't in a while, but this one I think is a really, really beautiful story. I love the two perspectives that you get. If you aren't into romance, this really doesn't have any romance in it. It's more about two separate perspectives and their relationships, like with their families, or at least you learn about their relationships with their families or like their peers. But I really, really loved this story. I thought the writing was really beautiful, very like poetic sounding. It's just right up my alley, something that I absolutely love. And I just thought this was really interesting. So we follow Marie-Laure's perspective, and she lives in Paris, and she's actually blind. And they have to leave Paris and they go to live with her great uncle. And you kind of follow her story. And then you have Werner, I think that's his name, Werner, who is a German boy, and he gets conscripted kind of into, I can't remember if it's called like German Youth or something, and then he ends up in the military really young, and so we follow him and his experiences with the military very young. I would say the last 20 pages, if you like trigger warnings, I would look up specific trigger warnings for this book. A lot of that stuff like doesn't happen throughout the book, but something does happen at the end that could be triggering for people. I always warn people that up until 20 pages or so before this book ends, it's like the best book in the world, and then that last 20 pages kind of is still a 5-star to me, but that last 20 pages felt a little bit like over wrapped up. But I really loved this story, absolutely adored it. It will always be on a favorites list. And then the last one in the pile of things that I have read is Lilac Girls by Martha Hall Kelly. I really, really liked this one. There was a romance in it that wasn't my favorite. It wasn't really my cup of tea, but a lot of people did really love it, and I'm not a big romance person, so it wasn't a big deal. It just wasn't my favorite part of the book. I think I gave this one 4 stars. I loved the perspectives that we followed. I really liked the characters. I just thought it was a really interesting story and a really horrible story, but also very sweet. And I just really enjoyed this book. I plowed through the last like half in a day, and I read it really fast, and my sister also really loved this one. So moving from Lilac Girls, I'm gonna hop into the pile of books I haven't read yet. The first one here is actually Lost Roses, which is sort of a prequel to Lilac Girls. I'm not sure if this has spoilers in it, but I would say read Lilac Girls first, just in case. This is actually World War I historical fiction, and we follow Caroline's mother's story in this one. So I feel like it'll be really interesting to get the whole story and the whole picture. And then next in the pile, which is a book that I have been looking at for a while. I really haven't heard anything about it. I haven't heard anyone mention it. No one has talked about it. That could be a bad sign, or it could just be really unknown. But this is The Boat Runner by Devin Murphy, and this, I believe, is about a family who are essentially risking their lives to get Jews to safety. And they are, I'm not exactly sure where they are. I think they might be in Paris, and they're like trying to take them over to Britain. I'm not entirely sure. That could be completely wrong. But it sounds like a really heartbreaking story. The cover, I think, is just gorgeous. And I am very looking forward to reading this. Like I said, I've had it for a while, but I do want to read it soon. Another one that I've had for most of the year, I got it ages ago, is The Lost Girls of Paris by Pam Jenoff, and this is also a World War II historical fiction. I don't know a lot about it, but I think there's like an underground kind of network, and someone goes missing, and then another girl comes in to take her place and like then starts rooting around to find out what happened. I think something like that. I don't really read synopsis all the time. I usually read the first couple lines, and if it sounds like it's catching me, then I just go into it blind. Which is why I don't know how to explain a lot of these books to you. But I'm really looking forward to this one. I've heard really great things, and so that's definitely on the list. And then I also have The Room on Rue Amelie, which I believe is set in Paris, I'm assuming, with the French name, by Kristen Harmel. And again, I don't really know what this one is about. I'm assuming people are hiding from Nazis and trying to save lives, and I just really love historical fiction. I just do, especially World War II historical fiction. And I am very much looking forward to this one as well. Plus, this cover is absolutely beautiful. And then last but not least, I'm not pulling it out because I don't want to ruin my lovely festive stack over here, because I swapped out the books on the nightstand so that they would be Christmassy. Not in theme, but in color. Anyway, We Were the Lucky Ones is one that's been on my radar for a while. I'm hoping to get to that one by the end of the year, and it follows, as far as I know, families who escaped Nazi Germany or families who survived the war, and then kind of their stories going forward. And I heard that it's incredibly heartbreaking. Anyway, that's all I've got for recommendations today. I just wanted to quickly throw a thank you out to all the veterans out there who are doing their best to take care of their people and take care of their countries and put their lives on the line for others' safety and freedom. And I just think that that is such an amazing thing and such a selfless act. And I just wanted to thank everybody so much for their part in that, and let you know that you are very much appreciated. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you have any historical fiction recommendations, leave them down below. They are my favorite genre, so I will be going through and looking up books and like adding them to my TBR list and things like that. While you're down in the comment section, don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already, and the bell so you don't miss future notifications. I do upload most Mondays and Thursdays. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I will talk to you guys all next time. Bye.
on bonny banks and by yon bonny braes, where the sun shines bright on Loch Lomond.